Right, hello guys, and welcome back to my third build for the Edge of Fate. Today we're doing things slightly differently because editor's away, and I just want to try a different kind of video format. We're not going to try the usual sort of scripted long form. I'm going to try doing this kind of more off the cuff, just to try something different. And today we have a very powerful build that, as some of you may know, has literally been one-shotting raid bosses. There's a clip circling of somebody who is one-shotting Atheon. I'll probably have it on screen, and this is that exact build, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how that works and how you can replicate it in your day-to-day play. But before I tell you how it works, let me just show you. So, yep, that was quite a lot of damage. By the way, that was just one bell, so being able to kill Rathil in just one bell with that much stacking damage is pretty insane. And the reason for that is because of this class item right here. We are, of course, on a Prismatic Hunter, and we want the Inmost Verity class item. And there is so much damage stacking going on in the background, so I think we'll just kind of start with the subclass, and we'll kind of go from there. Super, we're going Tether, because that is going to work with one of our aspects, Stylish Executioner, which I will touch on in a moment. But the two key things that you need, or maybe the three key things that you need for this build, are Gambler's Dodge, Combination Blow, and Grapple. The main reason you want Grapple is because it now benefits from the damage stacking that Combination Blow gets. Now, Combination Blow was buffed in the Edge of Fate to provide 400% increased melee damage at 3 stacks, and this will now work with a Grapple Melee. So if I show you how much a Grapple Melee does by default, you can see it there, it was around 490 damage. But if I reset these enemies and just get my grapple back, if I get to 3 stacks of Combination Blow, this is now going to increase pretty substantially to 2,955. So yes, it does affect your grapple damage, and that is the first key point of this build. And look how quickly we're getting it back as well. I'll explain more of that in a second. But yes, we want Combination Blow and Grapple because they now work together. Aspects wise, we are taking Winter Shroud because this is just going to help with neutral game. If you remember back when Final Shape launched, this combo was the best to use with Combination Blow, but then they nerfed its interactions with Liar's Handshake and certain things, so it became less popular. But now it's basically back and the best. So we're taking Winter Shroud and Stylish Executioner to make us invisible whenever we get kills, when we dodge near enemies, because you know this is the classic loop. When you dodge near an enemy, punch, it'll give you your dodge back, you'll go invisible, you can do it again, you can punch again. But by the way, remember, you don't actually have to be near the enemies now. I can just dodge and it'll give me my full melee back. I don't actually have to be near them at all. Look, I'll show you again. I'll go well away from the enemies and I'll dodge here and it'll give it to me in full. And that is because of my stats. I have 70 melee, but We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Fragments wise, because we are only limited to 4 now with the nerf to Winter Shroud, the ones that you must take are Protection, Purpose, and Dawn. Dawn will make you radiant when you get a kill with either Grapple or Combination Blow. Purpose will give you Void Overshield, which is just going to help with survivability when you pick up an orb. Facet Protection is a 15% resist when near 3 or more enemies. And then Facet of Courage also got a buff where you are going to be dealing 50% more melee damage to targets that are affected by a Darkness debuff. This was previously 10%, but it's now 50%. So as you can see here, normally I deal 162 damage with 1 stack of Combination Blow. However, if I dodge near an enemy to apply slow, it will then go up to around 243, which is 50% more. So that's why we have Facet of Courage, because it's just going to help with our neutral game, getting stacks of Combination Blow up faster, because we're going to be dealing more damage now. So the other part that makes this build so strong is having a class item with Spirit of Verity. Your left column perk could be anything. I think Inmost Light is definitely one of the better choices, because if you waste your grapple, you can get it back very quickly. But Spirit of Verity is going to make it so getting kills with a gun that matches the element of your grenade increases the damage of your grenade and the regen rate as well, just by a little bit. So because we have a grapple grenade, we're going to need to get kills with strand damage, which is why we have the Navigator. And as you can see, when I get kills, I get stacks of death throws on the left of my screen, and this goes up to 5 times. And at 5 times, it is a 100% increase to your grapple grenade damage, which as you can see here, goes up to 890. And the thing with this is it scales with your grenade stat, as in if you have anywhere between 100 and 200 grenade stat, you can go all the way up to 65% increased grenade damage at the maximum of 200, which does stack with Spirit of Verity multiplicatively. Now, another reason why this build is pretty powerful is because it gets around the additive melee stacking changes which were made. Because grapple melee counts as both a grenade and melee attack at the same time, it will scale off your grenade stats while also benefiting from melee damage increases like like combination blow, and so on. So the two systems mix together, and because one is additive and the other is multiplicative, you actually end up getting huge amounts of percent increased damage, which, as you saw in the thumbnail, was almost 4,000%. And that's not a lie, by the way. I will show a calculation shortly which proves that. So yeah, the goal of your stats should be to get as much grenade as possible, which is why I've got 140 base, but then with my mods, I have 2 grenade fonts, which is going to put me all the way up to 180 whenever I have armor charge. And the easiest way to get armor charge is to have a heavy-handed, because that means that kills with your grapple or combination blow will make an orb. I know this is on a 10-second cooldown, but it doesn't really matter. Then I have a strand siphon as well to make orbs with navigator double kills. So when we're in Rome, we're going to have 180 grenade, which is roughly 52% increased damage. So it's not quite the maximum, but it's a fair chunk. Then after that, because we are on a hunter, which are a very stat hungry class, we are going to need 70 class, 70 super to get our super back quickly, then 70 melee. Though you can get lower in super, it's not as essential. You do, however, need at least 70 in both melee and class, because that is what is going to allow your combination blow to refund your class ability, which then lets your class ability refund your combination blow, and so on and so on. You can also add things like a 1-2 punch shotgun to improve the damage of your grapple grenade even more, which by the way is plus 150%. So in order for me to show you what this all looks like, I want to just kind of show you an example where we kill a champion, which is not the barrier, but actually the unstoppable, which by the way has a lot of damage resistance when it's not stunned. So I'm just going to show you here. So we're going to do a few stacks of combination blow. We're going to get 1 there, 2 here, and we have a 3rd one here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 5 stacks of Verity, make this all the way to the top, and we're going to go 1-2 punch, boom. he wasn't stunned. He just gets 1 shot even through his like stun resistance, which is pretty nuts. And as you can see, I basically have my grapple back already. And that is the next thing I wanted to show you, is that even if you don't have navigator, that's totally okay, because with Spirit of Inmost Light, if I use my grapple just to get rid of it, I can then get a kill with my melee, use my dodge, and then look how quickly it is recharging. Look how quickly my grapple is recharging there. I'll get another kill with my melee, I'll get another dodge, and we'll get this. We'll get some Verity stacks as well, which will also improve the regen rate. And now look how quickly it's charging. I can just keep doing this, supercharge the Inmost Light, get some more Verity kills again, and we have it back in what feels like 5 to 10 seconds. It means you don't have to use Navigator to sort of reliably get your grapples back, because if you use your abilities correctly, you'll be getting it back in no time. Now, another reason why Tether is so useful in this build is because if you come across a beefy target like a champion and you place it down, if you shoot like your shotgun to trigger 1-2 punch at the boss or at the champion, it will kill the ads nearby, make you invisible while you're in grapple, and then I can take advantage of the Stylish Executioner bonus, which is a plus 300%, I believe. After performing a stylish execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens targets, and it will deal increased damage as well. I'm not sure why it doesn't say that on there, but I believe it is plus 300%, which is what enabled the such insane damage in the Rathil clip in the beginning. So now to actually prove to you that the number in the thumbnail is actually accurate, I will just have a freeze frame from one of the damage numbers from Rathil, which is roughly 12,000 twice. And then I'm also going to bring in a clip where I use a normal grapple punch and just got the sort of base value of that, no 200 grenade, nothing like that, just a normal grapple punch. And if you multiply that number by the actual percentage in the thumbnail, you come incredibly close to the number which we actually saw in the Rathil clip in the beginning, which is roughly 40 times the base damage, which is pretty insane. Now, of course, these are very sort of strict conditions, and you aren't going to get this everywhere in your add clear sort of level. However, it is a good showcase of the ceiling of this build. It is seriously impressive. If you don't have the Navigator, having a strand weapon to get stacks of Verity would be nice. You could go Barrow Dyad or any other strand exotic that you like, Final Warning, or just a regular strand legendary. It is just anything to build your stacks of Verity. And then for the artifact, there actually isn't too much which really helps. The only ones I would say are Tightly Woven, which says while Woven Mail is active, gain increased class ability and grenade stats. It's plus 20 to both, by the way, so you can kind of lose a bit of stat investment if you run this mod. It kind of gives you a nice cushion, but you won't be getting Woven Mail terribly often. But then after that, the only other important mod would be Shield Crush, where it says while you are amplified or radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage, which would count for the grapple grenade because we're going to be amplified from combination blow kills. This build's loop is pretty simple. All you need to do is stack up a few melee kills, which is very easy with the changes to Facet of Courage and so on. And at that point, just get some kills with your strand weapon, get your stacks of Verity up, charge up a supercharged grapple, which you can then use over and over if you made a grapple point in the ceiling, for example, with your navigator catalyst. Now, the one thing I would say is don't pop your transcendence when using this build, because obviously it takes away your ability to use the grapple, so I wouldn't be doing that if I was you. Now, of course, the firing range is one thing, but how about some actual gameplay? So I just figured I'd take us into a rather adept encounter, which is one of these battlegrounds here in the portal. I'm just going to show you how this build fares against enemies that actually shoot back, and as you can see, it's doing pretty good. You know, I can pop my grapple point up in the air here. I can just use that over and over to get some nice stacks of combination blow, take advantage of the damage. Let's get some Verity stacks here, why not? You know, this guy's a bit chunky, let me just delete him real quick. Our knot is on cooldown here, but that's fine. We can just get some kills with combination blow. That's not a bother to us. Okay, so here is where we can really get something going. So let's get our stacks of combination blow up. Now we're at ×3. I can pop my grapple point up into the air. There's so many ads here that we can just start shredding through with absolute ease. Okay, we lost our grapple there, but that's not a problem. We can get it back very easily by just using our dodge and our melee, refreshing our combination blow stacks at the same time, and then we can just get back to it. In fact, I'm just going to not use the grapple point just to show you how quickly you can get it back if you just use it on its own. So I'm just going like this, dodging around. We can have another grapple here. You're going invisible, you're incredibly safe. Now we have a tether, I can pop that down. Dodge again. I should have my grapple back any second now. There we go, we can use it again. Transferring all the damage between the tether, getting my dodge back, getting my melee back. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, this build. So if you haven't tried it, I would very much recommend it. And the damage is really something. And I know we have some high value targets coming up shortly. So I'm going to try and get a good example there of our stacking capabilities. Like, let's get some Verity stacks up here, because we've been lacking those. And ammo isn't really an issue either, because if you have enough armor charges, you can just do a special finisher, which is what I've put on the build. I will have the dim link in the description for this, so don't worry. We do have lots of damage resistance going on as well, so it's quite good for survivability once you have the loop going, so don't worry about that. Again, let's try and get our stacks up. I think we kind of lost them. As soon as we have at least 2 stacks, it's basically GG. Everything dies to one punch. I believe a big wyvern is supposed to be spawning here at some point, so let's see if I can get some Verity stacks up. Prepare for that. There's the wyvern. Okay. Get our stacks up, go like this, prop 1-2 punch. Oh, hang on. Technical difficulties. 1 second. Get Verity back here. There we go. Boom. Boom. Boss wyvern. Absolutely deleted. Shout out to Spirit of Verity. And yeah, just a final note about stats. Obviously, these are pretty good, but I don't have, well, I have barely any new gear here. I don't have any tier 5 gear or anything like that. That's personally because I'm not there yet, but you can get these to be a lot better than this is. I'm pretty sure you can get around 200 grenade at base and then probably 150 melee, which means that you can then put some fonts into melee, for example, letting that go even higher. And actually, if you didn't know, the damage increases from 200 grenade and 200 melee, they do stack together multiplicatively for the same ability. And because grapple is both coded as melee and grenade damage, it will stack for both, meaning you can go even further than what we currently have. But obviously that is a ways away because much grinding is needed to get there. But anyway, here are the mods if you wanted to copy. But like I said, the dim links will be in the description. And if you're curious about the fashion, I think I'm pretty proud of this set. So if you like this, you know, take a screenshot here as well. Copy the fashion if you want to. But anyway, guys, that is it for today's build guide. I hope you enjoyed it. I know the format is very much different from what we normally do. So if you liked it, please let me know in the comments. Or if you don't like it, then let me know if you want me to go back to the scripted, which we will be going back to the scripted because I'm only really doing this as a test because the editor is away. So just let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments and enjoy the build because I promise you, you will enjoy the build. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.